Did you know that the Bommer double-acting spring hinge, the 3029 series, and many others, it turns out, require an accommodation in the net door width compared to the inside frame opening? Many, many years ago, in likely about 1992, perhaps, I had no idea that it did. I was accustomed at that point, I was familiar with selling a door and a frame and butt hinges. Door closer, weather stripping, lock set. I had that down. Maybe an exit device if we're going to get exotic. I had a customer come in who was doing a restaurant. I had sold him the back door exit device, welded frame. Now wanted a double acting door from the restaurant to the kitchen area, a very common application. So, multi-generation family in our business here. My dad said, yeah, you're going to sell him the Bommer 3029 series hinge. And that was it. He was not involved anymore. I said, oh, that's great. That's super easy. Okay, we're done. All I'm going to do is switch the hinges. Ordered the cased opening frame. I knew enough to have reinforcing in it because I have a background in, not a background in welding, but I know enough about welding to be able to weld in a hollow metal shop setting and do so reasonably well. So I knew that we were going to do some reinforcing and spoke to the client. You're going to have to drill and tap these holes because the metal's too thin on the 16 gauge cased opening frame. No problem, Rich. I'll take care of that. No problem at all. When can you get me the door? That's easy. It's all stock in the back. All I have to do is do some reinforcing. Give me 3 days and I'll deliver it to the job site. The hinges were in stock. The cased opening knockdown frame was in stock. The door was just off the shelf. We're looking great. Deliver everything on a Saturday. My driver, my cousin, goes to the job site. He's there about 8 o'clock, makes the delivery. Customer calls me at 11:30. The whole opening is torn out. Rich, the door doesn't fit in the frame. I can't close the door. The door hits the jamb when I try to close it. And I'm scratching my head. And the customer's telling me the door is too big. The door is too big. And I'm telling the client, it's a stock door. That door is going to be 35 3/4. Well, I'm telling you the door is too big. Well, it's a stock frame. I know that's 36 inch. A 35 3/4 inch door and a 36 inch cased opening frame is going to work together. The problem I didn't realize, because he's saying over and over, the door is too big. I'm like, wait a minute. I put the cordless phone down with the long antenna, and I go pull out a box of hinges, and I pull the template out. And look at that. It requires a pretty big pre-fit. This client, he was mortising it to the stock hinge preps in the stock hollow metal door, but it still requires a pretty big pre-fit for a 6-inch hinge, which is what I was selling the client. And we were doing, there was a link along with this to the Bommer template where you can review that. So I immediately got myself looking at the door flange mortised portion of the table, and I could immediately know that my frame opening is 36 inch. Okay, and I knew my door size was 35 3/4. So I could immediately take 35 3/4 and add the 7/16 door flange mortised pre-fit allowance. And I could tell that I'm 3/16 too small. Okay, I had a 35 3/4 inch net door size, 36. That's a 1/4 inch, but that calls out 7/16, and there ain't and 3/16 might as well be a mile at that point. So realized at that point what had to happen. Instructed the client to continue with the frame installation, but the door would have to be reworked. So I literally had to order a custom door size, 3/16 smaller, and I probably would have made it at least a 1/16 smaller than that, if not an 1/8 of an inch. I like to have some room when I'm dealing with a double-acting square-edge door. And what attributed to that mistake was I had an honest understanding of how doors and hinges and frames all work together. But my experience hadn't taught me that this specialty hinge required a very particular pre-fit size. As a result, I have never made that mistake again, and as a result, I have pursued to determine all possible knowledge of the subject matter and end up, I'd like to hope, possessing an expert level of knowledge over the Bommer double-acting spring hinge and how you must prep it for the door and frame, how you are to pre-fit the door for that opening, how to calculate the size of everything. Give me one thing that's fixed and I can tell you the rest. Give me the hinge, mortised or not, or give me the door size, or give me the inside frame size. You'll be stuck at one of those where you're going to start. If you're telling me my frame is 34 inch and you've got to make everything fit in that opening, okay, no problem. Give me one thing. So unfortunately, my customer was the sacrificial lamb on that job. But come the following Wednesday or Thursday, within a week, I had the proper door there. The client was happy. He understood the mistake. In the middle of the spectrum of people who are reasonable when it comes to honest mistakes. And everything was good. The downside of the mistake was the job never really usually doesn't turn out as good as it could have. So at that time, we didn't have time to order a custom pre-fit door, so I literally ran the circular saw down half of the door with a special metal cutting blade, not an abrasive blade, an actual 90 tooth blade. Cut it with my straight edge halfway through the thickness, flipped that over, cut it back again, and then took an edge channel and wrapped over the edge of the door. So the problem was, now the door's been cut down. It's not fire rated. It's not a big deal, but you've got this cap over the edge, which I personally regret. The owner didn't even notice it. The contractor either didn't notice it or didn't care, but it was the only way to solve the problem quickly. I would have preferred to have ordered the proper door manufactured at the proper size from the manufacturer of the door, so that it was utterly factory perfect. So errors are very regrettable that they happen, because they're a waste of productivity and profitability. Strains relationships, certainly. And the end result is sometimes not something that can easily be recovered from. The point of the matter is, as the title of this page said by Alexander Pope, to err is human and to forgive is divine. Please share your stories with us as well. Thank you.